Hello, this is President Donald Trump. You are watching Around South Jersey with Jim Quinn. I'll be watching tonight to hear all the latest Republican Party information with my very good friend Joe Condo. Available on QBC's TV Channel 22 and Quinn Broadcasting's Facebook and YouTube pages. Don't forget Quinn Broadcasting, the voice of South Jersey.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Around South Jersey. This may be the most unusual show you'll ever see on Quinn Broadcasting, and I'm very happy to have with me Joe Condo. Joe, it must have been an exciting experience for you. Wow.
Wow was right. Wow was an understatement. It is without question. 40 years I've been running around South Jersey politics, and this is without question the most exciting thing that I've ever had an opportunity to do. It was jam-packed with events. It was just energy everywhere, and could not have had a better time to begin with. But just to have that many like-minded folks all at the same place, all energized, all enthusiastic, and of course because of the assassination attempt just days before the convention, everybody was really jazzed about being able to be there and show support for our candidate.
Boy, thank God that worked out as it did. Yeah. And former President Trump just had a little nick in the ear, which is blessing for everybody. And I'll tell you what, I mean, I watched, and it was really pumped up. People were really excited. And how many people were allowed to go, Joe? I know you have to be a delegate, right?
You have to be a delegate to be down on the floor. I mean, I can see in the background here, you can see the floor with the red carpet, and then you can see the stadium seats around the outside. And you have to be a delegate to be down on the floor. So there's a little over 1,000 actual delegates.
Oh, okay.
And then alternate delegates who didn't get to sit, or guests, and the media were all in the balconies. So I don't know how many people the stadium held. It's not as big as it looks when you're looking at it on television, but I reckon there are about 5,000 or so people total, about 1,000, 1,500 on the floor, and then at least 2 or 3 times that in the stands. So it was good. The security, as you might imagine, especially after the assassination attempt, was really, really tight. I was amazed at how good it was. They had really turned about a half mile or more around the stadium into a really well-secured zone. So you had to go through, basically a strip search to get in. Wow. So it was really good. And then even the events that were held outside of the secure zone were very well secured. I mean, we were blessed to have state troopers and police officers from around the country who
did see that.
They were everywhere. We ran into the New Jersey delegation one night. We stopped. I was there with Senator Testa, of course. We had a ball together. I mean, we didn't leave each other's side probably for the whole 5 days. And we were heading out to dinner one night, and there was a whole contingent of New Jersey state troopers outside the restaurant, guarding the entrance to the restaurant, which was right outside the secure zone. And we got to chat with them for a little bit. It was really, really pretty cool. Thanks to them for all over the country. I mean, we met police security from all over the country while we were there. It was really tight.
Yeah, which, of course, because of the assassination attempt, you understand why it would be that tight. Now, is that, what's that place called? I mean, we have the Spectrum, or we have
I want to say the Fiserv Arena. I think it is FISERVE, if I'm not mistaken. Fiserv, I think, is a financial institution in the Wisconsin area. So it's the Fiserv Arena, I think it's called.
Probably, I think that's where the Milwaukee Bucks basketball plays. I would suspect as well. But it was really impressive to watch it on television. So, how many from our area? I know you and the senator were there. Was the congressman there?
Of course, the congressmen were there. So one thing, this was my first convention, and you mentioned the energy earlier. I was told by folks who have frequented these things, and there are folks who frequent these things, that this was far and away the most energetic convention that they could remember. But then as far as our delegation goes, I learned this only through this cycle, that we have 10 statewide delegates,
Okay.
plus 10 alternates, and then each congressional district gets to identify 3 delegates and 3 alternates. We have 12 of those. So we had a grand total of 46 actual delegates, 46 alternate delegates, and then however many guests and friends we wanted.
Wow.
So we sent a total of probably about 120 people out in the delegation, even though, as I say, only 12 were actually voting delegates. That gets complicated. But from our area here in the 2nd Congressional District, Congressman Van Drew's district, that's how I got selected. And shout out to Senator Testa and Congressman Van Drew for making this possible for me. Without Senator Testa and Congressman Van Drew, I would not have been there. But there were 3 delegates and 3 alternate delegates from each congressional district, including the congressman's district, and then the congressman actually, because he's President Trump's campaign chair or whatever for New Jersey, he and a couple of his folks, Ron Filan, whom everybody knows and love, Allison Murphy, his chief of staff, they were also statewide delegates. So there were quite a few of us from South Jersey. Dr. Soloway was out there, Jackie Vigilani, who was the chair of Gloucester County until recently. She's a great friend. She was there. So there were quite a few of us from South Jersey here. Don Purdy, Michael Donahue, the chairman of Atlantic County and Cape May County, respectively. They were there, of course. I think they were both state delegates, if I'm not mistaken. So quite a contingent from South Jersey.
That's great.
Right.
I'll bet the airfare and finding a place to stay was astronomical, right?
Contrary to popular belief, the party doesn't pay for this trip. If you're going to go, you're going on your own dime.
Sure.
So I think a lot of people think the party pays for this, but they don't. But the airfare was astronomical because of everybody's flying into Milwaukee. And then we, the New Jersey delegation, actually had to stay in Madison, which is an hour and a half away.
I read that, yeah.
That's right. So we had a 3-hour round-trip commute each day. The party provided bus service, so at least we had a bus.
That's good.
But it only left at certain times, so if you wanted to go any other time, you had to take an Uber. And the hotel fare, the party locked up the hotels. We had the whole hotel reserved, but, capitalism being what it is, and that'll be the day that the Republicans complain about capitalism, right? So we all paid through the nose for hotel rooms and meals and airfare, but it was worth every dime it cost to get out there. I can't reiterate it enough. I've said this to so many people, and I hope you don't mind to say it again. When you think of people who know me, when you think of me, especially when you think of me in the context of politics, humble is not the first word that comes to your mind. But
a winner.
Winner perhaps, but perhaps I could use this was a humbling experience.
Wow.
It was humbling to be with so many heavyweights.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I said Senator Testa and I were locked at the arm for most of the time that we were out there. I knew Michael was wired, but I had no idea the extent to which he's wired to some really key players within our party, both in terms of political action committees and other government officials throughout the country. So it was great to be in the company of so many really high level. When you're a Republican in New Jersey, you're used to being in the minority. It's a very different dynamic when you're around people who are in majority Republican states. It's just a completely different feeling, and we keep saying energy, but the energy is really different. It was so great to they don't remember who I am, and I probably don't remember who they am, but it was just great to be in some of those events and in the company of such folks, all committed to one thing. Even on the floor, right? It's no secret that there's divisions within the parties. The Democrats have division within their parties. We have division within our party. But for those 4 to 5 days, we were one, and I surely hope that carries over now to November. If we can all get along for 4 days, we can all get along for 4 months, and then go back to fighting with each other after the election, I suppose. But we can all stick together for 4 months. That's
super. George, the star person, I guess, if you have that video that was one that everybody had to enjoy, was Mr. Hogan.
Oh, the Hulk Hogan experience was one of the best experiences of the event.
When they took a shot at my hero and they tried to kill the next president of the United States, enough was enough. And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Let Trumpomania rule again. Let Trumpomania make America great again.
Talk about energy.
Yeah.
Now, I've never been a big fan of pro wrestling. Of course, I know who Hulk Hogan is. But especially, I was surrounded by people who were reading. Well, one thing I will admit is that the New Jersey delegation was right next to the teleprompter.
Oh, okay.
So we had to go, most people were looking around at the teleprompter instead of actually looking at the speakers on stage because we want to see what they're going to say next. But everybody was just like jumping out of their seats when Hulk Hogan did his thing, and we knew he was going to speak, of course, but nobody expected the kind of energy that he put into that room with that speech, and you could see that that's what he does. And he had mentioned in his remarks that he's an entertainer and that he usually doesn't get involved in politics, but as he said, I can't sit back anymore. So it was really one of the highlights. It was entertaining. He did entertain the crowd, that's for sure.
He's amazing what he was able to do. And we'll be back with more with Joe Condo to talk about the Republican National Convention, and we'll do that right after these messages.
Many people treat their health like a game. With Complete Care Health Network, it's easy to start your healthcare journey. Just select from our specialties and schedule online, by phone, or on our app. Our entire team communicates with one another, so everyone works together on your total health. Plus, we make it even easier with all of these additional benefits. Level up your health with us. Complete Care Health Network. No games, just great health care for everyone.
C&H Disposal Service has provided customers with the best customer service possible since 1981. C&H Disposal Service provides trash removal, dumpster rentals, septic cleaning, repair and installation, septic system certifications, portable restroom rentals, and demolition. With great customer service and competitive pricing, C&H Disposal Service has you covered at the home and on the job. C&H Disposal Service. Stick with the best.
More than a century ago, General Tire was born, right here in America. Since then, we've made a name for ourselves at making tires you can depend on. Tires built to handle any road this country can throw at them, and relied on by every kind of driver. So you know that no matter where life takes you, with General Tire, anywhere is possible.
How'd it happen?
She showed up dead on arrival.
This never gets easier.
It does when you call CarShield before your car breaks down. Look at these prices. The camshaft, transmission, engine.
Don't people know? A plan through CarShield could protect up to 5,000 parts and systems.
You hate to see it.
An out-of-warranty car is going to break down eventually.
Right, which is why they need a plan through CarShield. Those expensive repair bills get paid and at the mechanic of their choice. They're notifying the family.
Poor guy. He doesn't even know what's coming.
Another victim of senselessly expensive repair bills. Can't save them all.
But we can keep trying. Didn't have to end this way. If he'd have just called CarShield before his car broke down.
Exactly.
Protect yourself from the unprecedented rise in cost for parts and repairs. Call now to save money with your price lock guarantee. Call CarShield now.
Call 1-800-890-2387.
Welcome back to Around South Jersey. Joe Condo is my guest, and Joe had to be one of the greatest honors of your life, Joe.
Absolutely one of the greatest honors of my life to be recognized, and it was, as I shouted out already to Congressman Van Drew and Senator Testa for making this possible, but I really also want to thank, so many Republicans in South Jersey who have supported me and the things that I've been doing over the past couple of years, and especially here in Cumberland County. And there's so many others that I know could just as well have been selected rather than me. So I really was honored and grateful to have had this opportunity. It was just the best thing that's happened to me probably since I got elected myself.
So we're going back to
We're going back a long way.
When you were the freeholder director in Camden County as well.
Yep.
Now, one of the things that, you have, of course, I would love to see Senator Testa be the vice president. I just think he's fantastic. Yeah. But explain to people why J.D. Vance was picked to be the vice president.
So I wish I could explain why J.D. Vance was selected to be the vice president. Who knows what goes on in the mind of President Trump, right? But it looks to me like J.D. Vance's background, not unlike my own. I posted on Facebook about myself. I mean, if you'd have told me 40 years ago that the son of the seventh son of an illiterate Italian farmer would someday be on the floor of the Republican National Convention, I would have told you were crazy. So J.D. Vance has that kind of a story growing up in rural Appalachia. His mother was there. She's a recovering alcoholic. She's been clean for 10 years. We all cheered her. And he basically grew up in a trailer park and worked his way up into the U.S. Senate and now is a candidate to vice president. So he tells that story of the American dream where anybody can get to be where, in any place. There's also the political reasons why we would want a candidate from Ohio, right? We're going to win Ohio. We're going to win Indiana. We're not sure we're going to win Pennsylvania and Michigan and Wisconsin, which would be so valuable to the president's getting reelected. I think that a lot of the decision to pick J.D. Vance is because we believe that the folks in that area can identify with his story and will see him as the future of the United States and of their own states and of their own families in a way that, Harris and whoever she decides to pick do not represent those folks in western rural Pennsylvania and Michigan and Wisconsin. So there's the political practicalities of having chosen him as well.
Well, I thought maybe former President Trump was looking for somebody half his age, and he is. He's 39.
He is, and there's also the youth component. He'd probably be the youngest.
Yeah.
There's a hope that he'll appeal to some younger voters. The interesting thing about that analysis, and I've heard that plenty, is that I think he's 39, if I'm not mistaken. So he's not even 40. So he's younger than JFK, even.
Yeah, that's right.
So there's a possibility of grooming him over the next 4 years to run for president so that we have a bench, of course. How attractive he is to voters in the 18 to 22 or 18 to 25 year age group, that's a little bit of a stretch, it seems to me, because he's still, in some cases, almost as old as their parents. So we're not looking to try to attract the 30 to 50 age group. We have it or we don't have it, and where we have it, we have it, and where we don't have it, we don't have it. So much is made of his youth and passing the torch to a new generation. I'm not as persuaded by that argument as I think a lot of the media discussion is.
Yeah, well, and you explained the fact that they're looking for somebody. When I was saying, and of course I think the world of Senator Testa, but New Jersey is not usually in play for the Republican Party.
Right.
So that's why he or Congressman Van Drew wouldn't be considered for a vice presidential position.
What's interesting in that comment, though, is that this is the first time since I have followed presidential politics and Ronald Reagan where New Jersey is arguably in play. And the idea that New Jersey is a swing state, though it's now by all accounts leaning left again, but only leaning, where New Jersey is usually solidly blue, right?
Yeah.
So this is an opportunity for us to perhaps deliver electoral votes for the first time in a generation, and perhaps even to deliver a U.S. Senator in the person of Curtis Bashaw. So I look at this and I say, if Senator Testa had been selected to be vice president, which, we all know, you and I both know Michael very well. Michael Testa could very well be the vice president of the United States. I'm just going to put that out there. He'll probably punch me for having said it, but I'll put that out there.
I agree.
And there he is reading our delegate count. I think if Michael Testa or Jeff Van Drew had been chosen to be vice president, that would squarely put New Jersey in play and could have enabled us to pick up a U.S. Senate seat. So hopefully the president didn't make a mistake by finding somebody from a state that's already going to go our way.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I mean, when you look at Harris now, she's looking at Pennsylvania, and there's another state that she's looking at as well. I think they're down to two. She's trying to balance so that they get support from the swing states.
It's always been the thing, right? To find a vice president from a swing state.
Yeah, really is. But speaking of Curtis Bashaw, he has to run against Andy Kim.
That's right.
The guy's name.
That's right.
So it's interesting. I mean, I know Curtis is a great guy, but he has no political background whatsoever. How did he become the man, I guess.
Right. That's great. So it is an interesting contrast between Andy Kim, who's a career politician,
Right.
and Curtis Bashaw, who's a career businessman who decided to jump into this. So what may or may not be known, and we're mentioning Michael Testa again. Michael Testa is Curtis Bashaw's campaign chairman, and we talked about the representation from South Jersey at the Republican National Convention. There's a dynamic in New Jersey that really should not be missed. We know the Democrats aren't missing it. I think the Republicans are missing it more than the Democrats are, and that is the red state of South Jersey.
Yes,
South Jersey, in almost all of its forms, has done more in terms of converting from Democrat to Republican over the past 4 to 8 years than the state as a whole. Significantly more.
And you should get a lot of that credit.
Well, I and others, I appreciate that, Jim, but lots of people contributed to this. But Cumberland County is a perfect example, as we've discussed. 3 years ago, it was 9-1 Democrat. Now it's 9-1 Republican. But we refer to this euphemistically as the red state of South Jersey, and that's why we had so much influence at the convention relative to the rest of the delegation. It's also why we're now in a position to champion a South Jersey candidate in the form of we started talking about Curtis Bashaw.
I see.
This is how we're able to put up a prominent South Jersey candidate who has to be said. President Trump endorsed his opponent in the primary.
Oh, that's right. He did. As a woman, right?
Yeah. Christine Glassner. But Curtis still pulled it out in the primary. So he's attractive to the New Jersey Republicans as a whole, because the South Jersey Republicans are more conservative than New Jersey Republicans as a whole. Let's just say it. But Curtis is a little bit more moderate and more attractive to Republicans, and we believe is going to be more attractive to voters statewide than some of the other candidates. And I'm making no comment about Christine Serrano-Glassner when I say this, but how did he get to become the candidate without having a political background? Mm-hmm. Because he's what we need for our party right now, a social moderate who has made a lot of money in business and created a lot of jobs by the businesses that he's developed, and he knows how to run a business, and that's what we need. Where his opponent is, like I say, has been a career politician since he was working for the Obama administration. So it's going to be an interesting contrast in a state where we're outnumbered by 1 million registered voters. It's going to be
what it is?
Yeah, it's about 1 million. It's about 1 million. I think it's 900,000 or something like that.
Yeah,
about 1 million.
But as you say, I mean, you and Senator Testa and Congressman Van Drew have really turned this area into a red area.
For sure. Yeah, we're outnumbered, I think, 9,000 in Cumberland County, and we're still able to.
Exactly. And of course, my situation, I keep saying, is the Democrats don't vote because, as you said, it's about 9,000 more Democrats registered than there are Republicans. But God bless the Republicans. They go out and vote. The Democrats, occasionally on a presidential year, they will vote.
This is where the rubber meets the road because this is a presidential election year, and so all eyes are on Cumberland County now to see if we're able to continue to win in presidential election years, or if it's as you say, will the Democrats come out to vote? Of course, they will in larger numbers, but our expectation is that the pro-Trump sentiment in this part of the state is so strong that even if the Democrats come out to vote, they're not going to overcome the red wave. I always like people talk about the red wave. The red wave came off of the Delaware Bay. That's where the red wave came from, and I'm expecting that to continue this year. So it's going to be a tough fight even here at home, but we're going to deliver. We're going to deliver Cumberland County. I'm confident for President Trump this time, and the down ballot as well.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that President Trump is loved down this way. I mean, and he's been to Wildwood for convention, or in fact, he was there not long ago, I guess, and then he was there a couple of years ago when Congressman Van Drew switched parties.
Yep. So that was a couple of years ago. He did the rally in Wildwood, and then he did another one just a couple of months ago.
Right. Well, I tell you what, he draws thousands of people to his rallies, doesn't he?
The other side likes to call us a cult, but at the end of the day, I mean, he really does have that kind of charisma that people will travel long distances to go see him. And I am actually happy to see that people are still coming out in droves to his rallies. I mean, you can see that people might be discouraged by what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, and be afraid to go, but people are standing up strong and saying, we're there, we're still going, we're still going to keep doing this. So I'm actually happy to see that.
I suspect this assassination attempt had to boost his numbers as well. Of course, it's not the way you want to do it. But, I mean, again, people that were maybe on the fence, and the way he handled it was very, very well. Fight, fight, fight.
Yeah.
And he's, kept walking, and fortunately, it was just a nick of his ear, I
Right.
guess, from what happened.
Right. It's very fortunate, and I'm not shy about saying there was clearly some divine intervention there, because if you look at the video carefully, he turns his head just as the bullet goes past. Could have been a very different situation, and he knows it. But yeah, his reaction was to fight. I have to commend the Democrats for their reaction, which was, there's no place for violence in our political system. Let's take out our differences at the ballot box, not with the bullets. And that has to go for both sides. I mean, violence can't be tolerated in our political system. It shouldn't be tolerated in our political system. It did energize the base, of course, which is already on his side anyway. He got a little bump from that. He got the typical bump from the convention. Vice President Harris is getting her bump now because of her announcement. She'll get more of a bump because of the convention. But let's call it what it is. This is a neck-and-neck horse race that we're not going to know the results of until probably 4 days after the election.
Yeah, that's a good point. It really looks neck and neck. Well, that's something I wanted to mention, that Joe Biden's numbers were not as good as Harris's. But again, it's somebody new coming in, and the thing that when you saw Joe Biden in the debate with Trump, you could see he was losing it. He just really wasn't.
The polling numbers that you identified are not at all surprising, because as Biden's numbers continued to tank, and it became evident to Democrat insiders and to the public as a whole that he had to go as the candidate, his numbers continued to decline. And then anybody who was anointed to step in is going to get higher approval ratings, because they're just going to be so happy that they have a viable candidate. And of course, the vice president is a more viable candidate than the president right now, who she chooses as her vice president. And let's face it, we haven't begun to hammer her the way we're going to before this race is over. So it's, may you live in interesting times, right, as they say, but who has ever seen in the course of a couple of weeks an assassination attempt on a former president who happens to be the candidate for a second non-consecutive term, while the president, the incumbent president, decides to withdraw after he's already been nominated? Like, neither of these things has ever happened, let alone both of them. So we are living in interesting times.
It really is. George, give us one of the shots from out to the convention. And it is just unbelievable crowd turnout. And of course, they had the star of Hulk Hogan, and Make America Great Once Again. Newsmax is a TV station that's there. You see the signs, and there you see two of my favorite people.
I appreciate that. Certainly two of my favorite people, Senator Testa and myself.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. What a great team you two are.
Yeah,
and
yes, we are.
We talk about going from 9-1 Democrat to 9-1 Republican. Those two people you just saw on the screen, folks, are the reason why the Republican Party has blossomed in the last 3-4 years. And, it's amazing. And as you said, too, Joe, to your credit, and the senators, the Democrats still outnumber the Republicans by 9,000 votes in Cumberland County. But the elections haven't even been close.
Right.
The last one, I think John Capizola finished fourth, but he was maybe 1,300 votes behind Sandy Taylor. And everybody, the sheriff, boy, what a great guy. I finally got to meet Mike Donato.
Yeah.
What a nice man. I didn't know him before, but
right.
Very, very nice person. And you got, to your credit, you've chosen good people, to step in there. And I haven't met Mark Marchand yet, but I thought the world of his dad. And I watched the meetings. He's an attorney.
He's an attorney.
Which is wonderful, to have him on there as well. And, of course, Jimmy Sorrell and I go way back.
Right.
And it's a good group that you've put together.
Yeah.
And this year, you've got the director,
Joe Cilio, the deputy director Tony Romero,
right,
and then Commissioner Victoria Lodes is running for county clerk.
Right. So that's your slate.
Yep.
On the Democratic side, they've got the former sheriff Bob Austino, John Capizola Jr., and of course the current county clerk, who is Celeste Riley.
Yep.
So that's their three. And then on the congressional, and that's the other thing that really should help Victoria Lodes. Somebody was mentioning it. Oh, I know Nick Caselda and I were talking about it. When you look at the ballot, you're going to have the president. Well, after him is Congressman Van Drew.
It'll be Trump,
Yep.
Bashaw, and Van Drew.
Yeah.
And so we were fully expecting that by the time you get through Trump, Bashaw, and Van Drew, all three of whom are going to carry Cumberland County, nobody's, I'm just going to say it, nobody's going over into the Democrat column after that. They're going to go straight down the ticket, and those coattails are going to be long and they're going to be deep. And Joe Cilio and Tony Romero deserve to be reelected. I think they will be reelected easily. And Victoria Lodes is in a great position right now to be the county clerk. And so I see no reason for anybody to move outside the column. One other thing that what we're talking about, the ballot. In almost every town in Cumberland County where there's a partisan election, the Republican candidates are running unopposed.
Yeah.
The only place we have any contest at all is in Lawrence Township, and all the rest of the county is unopposed. Either unopposed Democrats in Fairfield and Greenwich, or unopposed Republicans everywhere else.
That's unusual. Lawrence Township's always usually the same three people.
Even the Democrats in Lawrence Township are Republicans.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Joe Milletta is the Democrat, but I'll even say it. Joe Milletta deserves to be reelected, and we're not that partisan. I'm hopeful that we see Joe Milletta reelected in Lawrence Township.
Township works so well with Joe.
Exactly why.
Skip
Right. Between Skip Bowman and John Teese and Joe Milletta, they're doing a great job. So here's hope. And as I say, I'll say it again. In Lawrence Township, even the Democrats are Republicans. So it's great. We'll see Joe reelected, I'm sure.
We're talking with Joe Condo about his great experience out to the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee. And we'll be back to talk more about the convention and many other things right after these messages.
Hey, check this out. Hernia repair. Ain't nothing, man. Kidney surgery. That's nothing. Gallbladder removal.
That's nothing. Spinal repair. I don't see nothing.
Exactly.
Minimally invasive robotic surgery at Inspira Health. Scar so small, it's almost like nothing ever happened.
At Mintz Insurance, we're proud to have been serving our customers for nearly 80 years, offering 30 different insurance products for your auto, home, and business. And to help ensure that you're getting the best rates possible, we give you up to 3 quotes for every policy, so you can choose what's right for you. At Mintz, we're part of the community, local representatives, supporting events, and proud of it. It's part of who we are. Mintz Insurance. Call today and find out how we can help you save on insurance, or visit us at mintzinsurance.com.
In Cumberland County, let's recycle right. We recycle cardboard, paper, aluminum, tin, and plastics number 1 and 2. Look for the 3-arrow triangle usually on the bottom of the plastic container. The number in the center determines the plastic number. Remember to recycle only number 1 and 2 plastics. Plastic bags, plastic film, hoses, and wires are not recyclable. They can damage sorting equipment and create hazardous working conditions. Don't trash our future. Do the right thing. Remember, reduce, reuse, and recycle.
Many people treat their health like a game. With the Complete Care Health Network, it's easy to start your healthcare journey. Our mental health services focus on the emotions and behaviors that affect your overall well-being and features psychiatric, counseling, and addiction services, including our exclusive Fresh Start program, designed to help combat the opioid epidemic in our communities, plus all the other specialties you expect from Complete Care. Level up your health with us. The Complete Care Health Network. No games, just great healthcare for everyone.
You look.
Welcome back to Around South Jersey. Joe Condo is my special guest, and Joe, along with many other people, including Senator Testa, attended the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee, and we have the actual count, I think, George, that you were telling me, my producer, of how many delegates that represent New Jersey.
New Jersey, 12 delegates.
Madam Secretary, I'm State Senator Michael Testa from the great state, the Garden State, the state of New Jersey, a state where President Donald J. Trump has invested heavily. And we think and we know that he can win New Jersey this year. Madam Secretary, we should all be thankful right now that we are able to cast our votes for President Donald J. Trump after what took place on Saturday. So the state of New Jersey is extremely proud to cast all of its delegate votes for the 45th and soon to be 47th President of these United States, President Donald J. Trump.
Pursuant to the announcement of the delegation and the rules and procedures of this convention, New Jersey, 12 votes, President Trump.
So the votes are based on the population, Joe?
Yeah, I can't swear to know exactly how they're calculated, but they're based on the Republican population.
I see, right. Registered Republicans.
Yeah, right.
Statewide. And, as you pointed out, too, I mean, to your credit, to the senator's credit, to Jeff Van Drew's credit, South Jersey has become red. Mm-hmm. And Central Jersey and North Jersey are still blue. That's where it's
northeastern New Jersey, anyway. Northwestern New Jersey and southern New Jersey are solid red.
Northwest, I forgot, yeah.
That's what I call the blue noose around the neck of New Jersey from Philadelphia to New York. Is that corridor is still solidly blue.
Yeah, it's interesting when you look at the state being pretty divided. As you said, Curtis Bayshaw running for United States Senate, and his opponent is Andy Kim, who's run as a politician's been involved for a long time.
Right. Well, Andy Kim was actually my congressman because I lived in Lumberton in Burlington County for most of my adult life as we were raising our children. I only moved down to Atlantic County about 5 years ago. And so Andy Kim was actually the representative from the 3rd Congressional District. Well, he still is at the moment. Yes, is a representative from the 3rd Congressional District, which is there. And I would go back to the 2016 election, where if I went from my house in Lumberton to my house in Estelle Manor, you would think that Donald Trump was the only candidate on the ballot. But if I went from my house in Lumberton to my office in Philadelphia, you would think that Hillary Clinton was the only candidate on the ballot. I felt like I lived right on that line where if you went north or to the west, it was all blue. If you went south or to the east, it was all red.
Well, I got to tell you a funny story. Heading south on Route 47, as you come into Port Elizabeth, there's a boat thing or there's a business, and he has a giant banner, Trump country.
Yeah.
And as we pass that to the left, another Trump sign. I get down the Morris River Diner a lot, so I go by that. And I've never seen so much enthusiasm with the signage and the flags and all those things that former President Trump brings to the table.
Yeah, this is going to be. We keep using the word energy as we should. This is going to be a really energetic campaign on both sides. I hope all that energy stays positively focused, but it's going to be a really energetic campaign on both sides for sure.
Now, this is the first time in the history of the United States there's a woman running for president. Do you think?
Yes.
How do you think that's going to play out, Joe?
Well, first of all, we don't know for certain that there's a woman running for president yet because she hasn't formally been nominated yet.
Good point.
And given the way things change in politics, we don't know. How's that going to play out? I mean, of course, the Democrats are going to make much of the fact that this could be the first woman president, and that the identity politics that has taken over so much of their campaigns over the past few years is going to be alive and well, certainly in this campaign. Can't wait to see who she chooses as her vice president. At the end of the day, the argument on the other side is going to be, is this person really the one that we want to be the first woman president of the United States? And we're going to take her to task for her qualifications or lack thereof. And does she really represent the values of women in America? I would dare say that if we took a poll in Cumberland County right now, I think that I'll stick my neck out and say that I dare say that most women in Cumberland County would suggest that Kamala Harris does not represent the views of the women even here in Cumberland County. So for the Democrats will use their identity politics, say opportunity to have the first woman, and the Republicans will push back and say, is she really representative of what women in this country want for a leader?
Yeah, and it'll be interesting, as we talked about earlier, to see who she takes as her vice presidential candidate. It'll be somebody from a swing state, I'm sure.
We would think, yeah.
We'd think. I mean, they talk about Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Governor Shapiro from Pennsylvania is an interesting choice because he's a first-term governor. And as attractive as it might be to run for vice president, I don't know if I would give up being the first-term governor of Pennsylvania, almost certain to get elected to a second term, even though he's only in his first or second year as governor. I don't know that I would give that up to take the chance of running for vice president. Now, he'll make his own decision, of course, but I'd be surprised if he actually accepts that nomination. I'm sure they're courting him more, but I'd be surprised if he accepts that.
Yeah, it's a good point. Very good point. And it's surprising Pennsylvania is in play. I guess the western portion of Pennsylvania is Republican and Philadelphia is Democrat.
I hate to give Jim Carville credit for anything, but Jim Carville said it best. He says Pennsylvania is Philadelphia and Pittsburgh with Alabama in between. So you've got Philadelphia and you've got Pittsburgh that are Democrat strongholds. The rest of the state is solidly Republican. So if you ever look at a county map of Pennsylvania, you got a little pockets like Wilkes-Barre, Scranton area. Yeah. But Philadelphia is where all the votes are. Pittsburgh is a big block of votes. Erie, Wilkes-Barre, Scranton. But most of Pennsylvania is solid red. So it's not just Western Pennsylvania. It's all over except for the urban areas. Pennsylvania is a rural state.
Yeah, see, I tend to think like, it's Philadelphia and it's Pittsburgh.
Oh, to my way of thinking, anything west of the Schuylkill River is Ohio. So
that's true too.
That's all further I see too. So.
Yeah, that's a good point as well. But Ohio is Republican, right?
Ohio is the quintessential swing state. It's still true that no Republican has ever won the presidency without winning Ohio. But President Trump did far better in 2020 in Ohio than he did in 2016. And the expectation is, especially with J.D. Vance on the ticket now, that we'll win Ohio by big numbers. We'll win Indiana by big numbers. So really, the Republican Party focus is going to – we have a great gubernatorial candidate in North Carolina that we're pushing. In North Carolina should go Republican. So the only real states that I think the party is after, Nevada looks like it's going to swing Republican, and there's nothing stopping it. Arizona looks like it's going to swing Republican, and there's nothing stopping it. The Democrats think they can hold on to Georgia, and maybe with Vice President Harris as the candidate, they can. But Georgia's going to be a tough one for the Democrats to pull out. So we know where the fight is. The fight's in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania.
Well, they're all up in that same area.
Yeah, you can narrow down the entire presidential election to those three states.
Interesting. Really is. And as you mentioned, Kamala Harris has not yet been nominated because they don't have their convention until about a week, I guess, right?
Yeah, they're talking about doing not a straw poll. I guess it's a
Zoom poll.
So yeah, some sort of a poll where I think it's going to be binding even before their convention. It's not clear to me what they're doing, but I don't understand the rules for their convention anyway. So have never been invited to a Democrat convention.
I don't know why not.
I don't know why not. They reach across the aisle. But yeah, so I don't really know exactly how that's going to work, when she will be formally nominated. But by all accounts, she's got the pledges of enough delegates to be nominated. And unless something really, in an ordinary world, you would say she's got the nomination. But we're not living in an ordinary time, so who knows what could be going on right now. But let's assume she's going to be the nominee. And the word on the street is she's going to start the campaign next week with her vice presidential candidate, who will obviously be named by then. So we shall see.
And that you could pretty much guarantee that'll be a man.
I don't know that we can guarantee that. Just like I've actually said it earlier in a meeting I had earlier today. It's not a thing until you actually file the paperwork, right? It's not a thing until she actually announces. It could be anybody. It could be absolutely anybody.
Yeah, that's true.
Who knows? But President Trump and his people, I'm sure, are gearing up for whatever the vice president has to hit us with, and they're getting ready to hit her too. So it's going to be entertaining, is a word.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of negative ads.
It's going to be a lot of negative ads, that's for sure.
We're talking with Joe Condo, who got to go to the Republican National Convention, and we'll be back to talk more with Joe right after these messages.
You learn pretty fast that there are no shortcuts in racing or in life. One of my first attempts to deal with my own hair loss was a literal shortcut. Thankfully, my wife found Hair Club. I was shocked the Hair Club had virtually every solution possible. If I had known about Hair Club sooner, I never would have tried any of those overhyped advertised solutions. You can get your own free personalized consultation with a hair loss expert and be on your way to the finish line in no time. Call now.
Save 20% on select solutions using promo code Frankie.
Call 800-597-3910.
Hey, check this out. Hernia repair. Ain't nothing, man. Kidney surgery. That's nothing. Gallbladder removal.
That's nothing. Spinal repair. I don't see nothing.
Exactly.
Minimally invasive robotic surgery at Inspira Health. Scar so small, it's almost like nothing ever happened.
Many people treat their health like a game. With Complete Care Health Network, it's easy to start your healthcare journey. Just select from our specialties and schedule online, by phone, or on our app. Our entire team communicates with one another, so everyone works together on your total health. Plus, we make it even easier with all of these additional benefits. Level up your health with us. Complete Care Health Network. No games, just great health care for everyone.
C&H Disposal Service has provided customers with the best customer service possible since 1981. C&H Disposal Service provides trash removal, dumpster rentals, septic cleaning, repair and installation, septic system certifications, portable restroom rentals, and demolition. With great customer service and competitive pricing, C&H Disposal Service has you covered at the home and on the job. C&H Disposal Service. Stick with the best.
Welcome back to Around South Jersey. Jim Quinn, along with my guest, Joe Condo. And Joe attended the National Republican Convention. And Joe, tell us what we're going to see with the president or the former president.
I don't know what we're going to see with the former president here.
You said he walks down.
If we're going to show the clip of it coming out of the hallway. Yes, in the hallway at the top.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the next President of the United States, President Donald J. Trump.
Right, so at night he would come out of the side hallway.
Friends, delegates, and fellow citizens, I stand before you this evening with a message of confidence, strength, and hope. 4 months from now, we will have an incredible victory, and we will begin the 4 greatest years in the history of our country. Tonight, I make this pledge to the great people of America. I will end the devastating inflation crisis immediately, bring down interest rates, and lower the cost of energy. We will drill, baby, drill.
I remember him saying that.
That's the Texas delegation. We sat next to the Texas delegation. That's the Texas delegation chant for sure. So each night he would come out of the hallway. There were actually 2 merged clips there, and he would come out of the hallway, and then there was a section in the back of the stadium where he and other dignitaries would sit, and that was no matter what was going on, they would announce his presence, and then the entire place would stop, turn toward the hallway, and then everybody just went crazy when he walked out, and then he sat down and kind of went away for a while.
Well, when you think about it, I remember saying to my son when the first time President Trump ran for presidency, I said, he's like a rock star. And in fact, I don't know if I told you the story, but my son is good friends with Mark Cuban.
Oh, great, yeah.
And one day we were sitting, my son and I, watching a football game at his house, and I said, I wonder if Mark Cuban, because I'm thinking the only person that maybe has a chance to beat Trump is another celebrity.
Yeah.
And Mark's been on Shark Tank, and he's a billionaire.
Right, everybody knows who Mark Cuban is. Right, exactly.
Right. So anyway, he texted him and said that I was asking, and he texted my son Gary back and said, "Tell your dad I wouldn't do that to my family."
He's not wrong.
No. But coming back to somebody running against, the celebrity. The man has owned casinos. He had a Celebrity Apprentice. He's, been everywhere. And, he is, you see it. He's like a rock star, right?
He is like a rock star. And you go back to 2016 when you think about how you talk about a candidate with no political experience. You talk about Curtis Bashaw.
Yeah.
Donald Trump, of course, had no political experience before he ran for president. He was always around politics, but that's not the same as having held elected office. And yet he beat whatever it was, a dozen or more seasoned Republican candidates right, in the 2016 primary and smoked them like they were nothing because of his just charismatic celebrity presence. And that's what's carrying him. And I hear so many people, even on the Republican side of the aisle, say he's got to tone down the rhetoric. He just needs to keep his mouth shut or whatever. That's what
people like about
him. You love it or hate it, but that's what people like about him. And Donald Trump seems to understand, we're talking some hardball politics now, he seems to understand the fundamental rule of politics, and that is you got to count to 50 plus 1, right? He's not trying to make everybody happy. He's not trying to get 100% of the vote. He's trying to get what he needs to win. And because we have an electoral college, and I know there's always complaints about whether we should have an electoral college. Well, we do have an electoral college. That's how we choose our president. Go back to the same thing. Everybody knows what we're fighting for. We're fighting over 3 states, and we only need to win 2 of them. So
that's something.
Win 2 of those 3 states, he's president again.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, I think Biden beat him by 7 million votes or something like that.
On the popular vote.
Right.
Yes, popular vote. I think Biden won in 2020. Biden beat him significantly in the popular vote. In 2016, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, too.
That's right. Yeah.
And I don't remember by how many.
Well, didn't Al Gore win the popular vote?
Al Gore won the popular vote. So it's not unusual for Democrats to win the popular vote, but I look at a dynamic over the past 20 years in presidential politics recognizing electoral college. California, New York, heavily populous states. Republicans can't win them. So they don't even campaign there.
That's true.
So the Democrats crank up big numbers in the popular vote in California and New York. If we were fighting over the popular vote, we would be doing a hell of a lot more in California and New York and other places to get up the popular vote. But we concede those electoral votes in states where there's huge populations, huge numbers of electoral votes, the entire Pacific Coast. The Republicans have to concede. How much of an effort are we going to put in California, Oregon, or Washington when the popular vote doesn't matter?
Well, that comes back to my thought that Harris is from California.
Yeah,
she'd be better off being from a state that's on the fence.
Right now, she wishes she was from Pennsylvania, but that's for sure.
Yeah,
but President Biden, of course, is from Pennsylvania, so he might still have some influence in Pennsylvania.
And plus, wherever her vice president comes from.
Which might be from Pennsylvania as well.
Which could be.
It could be from Pennsylvania as well.
It really is interesting to see how the Electoral College works. And it's been something else, that's for sure. So what was your highlight? Did you get to meet the president?
I didn't get to meet him personally, but the highlight of my entire trip was there was a moment when the president came out, and you can find this somewhere on YouTube. There was a moment where the president came out and he said, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to be here. And I was moved to yell out, yes, you are. And you can hear it very clearly on the video clip. It was like having a personal dialogue with the president.
Oh, that's cool.
And then the crowd moved into a chant of, yes, you are, which made me feel like I actually made some sort of a significant contribution to that convention. That was definitely, for me, the highlight of the convention was to have that singular dialogue.
That is neat.
He hasn't called me to thank me for it, but that was actually the highlight of the convention for me. And just being down on the floor with so many folks that I knew and didn't know, people that I met, the energy in the room. I'm usually, despite my the personality, I get mistaken for being extroverted. I'm usually kind of keep to myself and say very little. I'm not that guy who's usually hooting and hollering and jumping around. You couldn't help it. You couldn't help it. I lost my voice for 3 days after the convention between all the shouting and the yelling and the standing up. And so it was just such a wonderful experience on so many levels. It really was.
I'm glad you had a great time.
And I'm thankful, again, to Senator Testa, to Congressman Van Drew, and to everybody that's made it possible for me to go out there. It was the highlight of my political career for sure.
Well, yeah, what a wonderful thing to be able to do.
Yeah.
It's something that worked out well. And George, why don't you play the intro again? This is unusual, but this was so well done. We want you, as we're leaving the show, to hear about who started and who's hosted and who is the guest on the show. George is our producer, and he put this together.
When they took a shot at my hero, and they tried to kill the next President of the United States. Enough was enough. And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Let Trumpomania rule again. Let Trumpomania make America great again.
Well, that was a highlight, I guess, for a lot
That was
of
a
people.
highlight for a lot of people, for sure. That really amped it up. That's for sure.
Well, Joe, thank you so much for coming in.
My pleasure as always. I appreciate you having me.
My pleasure. Thank
Anytime.
you. Thank you, George Kachia, for producing the show. And we thank you for joining us here on Around South Jersey. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
This has been a QBC television production in association with our partners and sponsors. QBC broadcasts on Comcast Cable Channel 22 and live streams its programming on Facebook and YouTube. All rights reserved by Quinn Media and QBC, programming that serves the South Jersey market.